This meeting of the City of Socorro City Council is set to begin. First and foremost, we would like to thank everyone and ask for your patience during the difficult time we have been presented with. Everyone, please remember to silence any electronics to avoid sound interruption. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to call disconnection and possible prosecution. In accordance with Section 418.016 of the Texas Government Code, and by order of the Office of the Governor, issued March 16, 2020, the City of Socorro City Council broadcasts the meeting scheduled today, Thursday, March 4, 2021, at 6 p.m. from council chambers located at 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, via telephone conference and live stream in order to advance the public health goal and practice social distancing to slow the spread of the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. The public that signed up and any presenters will be called upon by the presiding officer during the meeting to speak during the public comment or agenda item following Government Code 551.042. La reunión del Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro está por empezar. Primeramente, queremos darle las gracias y pedimos su paciencia durante estos momentos críticos que enfrentamos. Favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico para evitar interrupción de sonido. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento perjudicial o revoltoso. A quien no siga esas reglas, su llamada será desconectada y puede ser infraccionado. De acuerdo con sección 418.016 del Código del Gobierno de Texas y por orden de la Oficina del Gobernador, anunciada el 16 de marzo del 2020, el Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro transmitirá su reunión hoy, jueves 4 de marzo del 2021, a las 6 de la tarde desde la sala del Concilio, localizada en 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, por medio de teléfono y será transmitido en vivo, para avanzar en el objetivo de salud pública y practicar el distanciamiento social, para tomar medidas preventivas y prevenir la propagación del coronavirus. El público y los presentadores serán anunciados por el oficial conduciendo la reunión. Para poder hablar durante la sección de comentario público o después de la discusión del artículo de la agenda por cual se apuntaron, siguiendo las reglas del gobierno 551.042.
It is now 6:09 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Rodarte, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, ma'am.
Establishment of quorum, Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Here.
Ralph Duran,
Here.
Mayor Ivy Avalos, present, Victor Perez,
Here.
and Ivan Colon Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum. Thank you. Item number 4, public comments. Mayor, we have one speaker for this item, Miriam Cruz. Ms. Cruz?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Well, I actually wanted to first let you guys know that you guys are broadcasting on YouTube. There's no video coming through. FYI, I don't know if you guys can fix that before we continue with the meeting. So I just wanted to reiterate 2 points. The first one is that I do believe it's important to have the ability for the public to be able to speak not only through audio but also visually. And if there can be a way to allow the public to be present in a visual way, I think that would be important. Obviously not necessarily throughout the entire meeting, but when they're speaking. As I mentioned before, a lot of body language is given off in, I'm sorry, a lot of I do apologize for that. A a lot of the uh, information that someone tries to portray is given off by body language, and so again, I think that's important. I actually think it's a little frustrating that I can't see anyone right now on the live stream. I keep refreshing the page and nothing is coming through. So I don't know if that's being worked on or if maybe the link is different. I am both on the city website, refreshing on YouTube as well. So anyway, and then the second thing that I wanted to mention is that I hope that just like, well, let me just say this. I hope that there can be a concrete agenda or calendaring for city council to move forward on updating and upgrading the ordinances. I think there are still many things that need to be updated, and so obviously y'all did that with the charter, but I think it's important now more than ever to start moving forward on ordinances that need to be updated, upgraded, especially when it comes to parks and new developments and excuse me, so many other things. And so I hope that there can be somehow a way that you guys create an agenda, a calendaring, something that kind of just keeps you accountable so that each meeting, something is getting worked on, or at least presented that maybe something that is already being worked on. Yeah, thank you. And just FYI, there's still no video coming through.
Ms. Cruz, we have updated the link. If you can look at our website and just click on the new link, you'll be able to view our meeting.
Mayor,
Yes, go
I
ahead.
need to step out for 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, Mr. Nevares. Mayor, those were all our speakers. Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion made to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Moving on to our regular agenda, public hearing and ordinances. Item number 11, public hearing of an ordinance amending the City of Socorro Master Plan and rezoning of tracts 2D, 1D, 2C1, 1D3, 4A2B, 4C, 4B1, 4B2, 1C, 1H, 1B, 1B1, 6C, 6B, and 6A. Block 6 Socorro Grant from A1 to A1C2 to R2C2 for a new development. It is now 6:14 p.m.
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Job.
I received a request from the developer asking to postpone items number 11 and number 12 to the next council meeting. I received an email right before the meeting started.
Public hearing is now closed at 6:15 p.m. Do we have a motion?
Motion to delete item number 12 until Mr. Terrazas posts or reposts the agenda item.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran,
Mayor, could it be item number 11 and 12? Because if you're going to change anything, then the public hearing has to do.
But I thought since we had already done the public hearing, it would be for next time, no?
Now, would it have to be a new public hearing?
we will place both the public hearing and the second reading and adoption
At the next meeting.
at the next meeting.
Okay. Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 13, public hearing of an ordinance for the proposed rezoning of Lake Clark Survey 298, ABST 6262, 28 and 29, and East 1/3 of 30, located at 12450 Gateway East from unclassified to C2 General Commercial for a truck terminal. It is now 6:17 p.m.
Mayor, we have no speakers signed up. We are requesting, do you have anyone in the line trying to call in?
No.
Just wait a couple of seconds.
Ms. Cruz joined and left the meeting. Do we want to ask
Miriam Cruz.
she joined the meeting? Ms. Cruz, would you like to sign up for item number 13?
No, I would like to say that I signed up for 11 and 12, and even though it got postponed, I should have been allowed to speak.
Ms. Cruz, the item was postponed for the next meeting.
I understand, but I should have been given an opportunity to speak since I signed up. I mean, a motion was still given. I mean, this is the second time they postponed.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, we
I'm
have,
not sure if I'll be able to make it to the next meeting.
ma'am, we have moved on to item number 13. Would you like to speak on item 13?
I mean, I did what I'm supposed to. I signed up to speak on an item. The item was
Public hearing is now closed at 6:19. Item number 14, second reading and adoption to the hearing that just occurred.
Motion to approve the ordinance?
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This application is for a zoning change. This property was annexed to Socorro in 2008, and it never had a zoning classification. Property is located off of Gateway East, and what's happening is the owner is trying to develop the land for a truck terminal, and they're only going to develop part of the land. This property extends all the way to the bottom of the hill that you see here in the screen. They're only going to use a portion of the land, not including the arroyo. That's the reason why they're asking for a commercial zone.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you. So just for clarification, Joe, and that's exactly what I was going to ask about the arroyo. So they're going to, are they going to build? Are they going to, I don't know, are they going to like reinforce it somehow, or you know, just to avoid any kind of the disintegration of the arroyo? I mean, I know that we're looking at the change now, but I mean, do we not have some kind of mitigation protocol for the arroyos?
No, they're not going to touch the arroyo because this is a flood zone recognized by FEMA, and they don't want to get into the trouble of creating a letter of map amendment. So they're going to leave the arroyo alone, and they're only grading this portion of land to create a parking lot similar to the one you see here. And they're only going to, so they're going to have a little ponding area here because they're going to leave this portion for their parking lot. They're also planning on putting a small office right here where you see the concrete slab for their office operations. So that's all they're planning on doing.
Thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Perez.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos. Ms. Villalobos.
She disconnected from the call.
Is absent.
Okay. Planning and Zoning Department, item number 15. Discussion and action on the preliminary and final plat approval for Bowman Estates, Unit 2, Replat K, being a replat of Lot 6, Block 14, Bowman Estates, Unit 2, located at 11200 Sheffield, for a lot split.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an application for a lot split. This property is located at 11200 Sheffield. This is the land. There's nothing on the property. It's vacant, and they just want to split it in half to build a house on each new lot that will be created.
Mr. Perez?
So, Joe, thank you, man. So then, again, like I always ask, egress, ingress, all those things are up to standard or will be up to standard in terms of the lot size, setbacks, and all that stuff?
Yes, sir, that is correct. What I did right now, I just turned on the layer showing the parcels that are next to this property. As you can see, some of these lots have already been subdivided before, and they're trying to do the exact same thing that happened on these lots over here on the north. So they just want to split the property in half. They have enough ingress, egress, and they still have enough room for on-site ponding. And so the building will be on the front, and they're going to use the rear for their on-site ponding. It's going to look just like the ones you see here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Reyes?
Hope I had a small question. In the front, you can see the sidewalk. Does the city have to do anything with the sidewalks, or does the owner have to rearrange or put a driveway or anything in the lot for entrance?
Yes, thank you, sir. That's a good question. What's going to happen here is this property is owned by a home builder. So what they're going to do is they're going to create, when they build the homes, they're going to create a driveway, and they're going to provide connectivity all the way to the pavement. So if the sidewalk is going to be in the way, they're going to do the adjustments to allow the continuous flow of the driveway or the sidewalk. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So yes, everything will be provided.
Thank you.
Mr. Perez?
So then basically the lot split will become a small development of two lots, right? Basically.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Perez.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos. Is absent.
City Manager, item number 16. Discussion and action to approve Code 4 Emergency Services Vaccination Clinic Management Proposal.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to announce that the City of Socorro had their first vaccination clinic today. At Chayopodaca Community Center, the Department of State of Health Services with Elite Medical Transport administered 68 vaccinations in our community. I want to share some pictures of today's event. We are extremely grateful to Dr. Soni and her team as they listened and they delivered. It is unacceptable that our community is traveling to Midland and other cities outside of our region to receive vaccines when we have the capability to service our community here locally. With that being said, it is my pleasure to introduce Code 4 Emergency Services. There is a proposal on the agenda today to put our plan in motion, utilizing CARES funding and strategic collaborations to administer the COVID-19 vaccination to our community and the surrounding areas. Please welcome Scott Davidson.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Scott Davidson. I am the president of Code 4 Emergency Services. Code 4, we are a Central Texas-based public safety management and emergency services firm that specializes in government consulting and in servicing private industry. As you can imagine, we've been especially busy during this time. One of our specialties or core competencies is high throughput medical operations. In a pre-COVID world, that meant large-scale music festivals, such as Neon Desert, in which we plan all public safety services, as well as many others. And this medical component of our operation is key to what we do for our clients. We are a professional healthcare organization as well as a Texas first responder organization that has been responding to our local government's COVID-19 needs for almost a year now. What that looks like for us is primarily consulting, crisis communications. We have a biohazard technician team. We provide COVID-19 testing with an in-house laboratory, and of course, vaccinations. We have been very active in the vaccination front. We were approved as a Texas vaccine distributor in November and have been working on the front lines to really target specialized populations that do not have access to the vaccine. We're really who our government calls when they're trying to get shots in arms to folks that are difficult to access or that are at particular high risk. Thus far, that's been medical workers, first responders, teachers, inmates, you name it. We really leverage our expertise and our resources to make things happen and to build coalitions. And it's actually through that work that we were introduced to the city of Socorro and have had the opportunity to work with several members of the city staff to learn more about the needs. And after speaking with the representatives that contacted us, we knew immediately that Socorro was in need of our help, and we've been actively working ever since then. In fact, we left Socorro this week, where we had the opportunity to engage in a handful of stakeholders, including the Department of State Health Services, local partners. We toured multiple sites, and the wheels have really been in motion on this for several weeks. Which we are grateful for the opportunity, and it's an ongoing effort, as evidenced by the clinic that you guys hosted today. It's an exciting and symbolic first step, but there's a lot of work to do. We're grateful to be at the table to help you do that. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Dice.
We also have Jonathan Alba. I don't know if you want to say something, Jonathan, to the team.
Sure. My name is Jonathan Alba. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Code 4 Emergency Services. And as Scott said, we had the pleasure of visiting the city of Socorro this week. And the one thing that I want to add is I've done a lot of work in and around rural communities and smaller communities in the state of Texas and the United States. And I have never come in contact with a city municipality as focused and as mission driven and on the ball as the city of Socorro. It was a true delight from our first phone call with Victor to meeting Adriana. I have been blown away and impressed. And I think it's an outrage that really the community has not been focused on in El Paso County. And so anything that we can do to help, we stand ready to do so. And so it is a pleasure to be here with you this evening and to come this far. So happy again to answer any questions and provide any assistance that we possibly can. Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
The city manager, did the clinic we had today, who sponsored that? Was that Code 4 or was that the city of Socorro?
So it was the city of Socorro with the Department of State Services, Health Services.
Follow up. Where did the vaccine come from?
The Department of State Health Services?
Okay. How much vaccine are they allocating to Socorro?
None, sir. They provided us 68 because they know that we have the need. And this was something that they were aiming for as a transition until we can activate our plan.
So So Code 4 is going to acquire the vaccine?
Correct. So they are providers in the state of Texas, so they will be making the request on behalf of the city of Socorro. We do have the Department of State of Health Services that is willing to work with us to make sure that we receive that allocation. And depending on how many we can be allocated, but they are registered and ready to request those vaccinations for our community.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you. And just out of curiosity, and I've heard this figure before, but I can't remember. How many doses can be given for each vial of vaccine?
Approximately 10, that's what I heard today. Approximately 8 to 10 doses.
So if we have 68, then that's like 680 doses, correct?
No. So we had only 6 vials, and they were able to give 68
Okay.
vaccinations with those.
I misunderstood. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I misunderstood. Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
Are we going to have that again, or are we, do we have to have a provider?
So we can have that again. However, they can't guarantee us that they will come back as they're servicing all of their region. And the region goes all the way to Marfa, Presidio. And it's only a very small team, so they don't get huge allocations. But if we want to be proactive, I think we have a plan in motion. We do have CARES Act funding available in order to be able to provide funding for this proposal.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you. One more question, Adriana. Um, the organization, code, what is it? I'm sorry.
Code 4.
Code 4, right? I apologize. So then once they're out of the I guess they'll help us establish this, correct? And then we'll establish our own supply line or supply chain for the vaccine.
Okay, so in order for us to request vaccines and administer them, they have to have a health person available in staff. That is what Code 4 is bringing to the table. They will be there and they will partner up with elite ambulance services just to make sure that they have the manpower to administer these vaccines.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
Another question. It says that administering 1,000 vaccines a week, and then after the initial $40,000, which is the setup cost, and then $35,000 a week, is that for 1,000 vaccinations?
Correct.
So in other words, we will be vaccinating 1,000 people every week.
If we receive the allocation. If allocations are less, we will work on that cost depending on how many we get allocated. And correct me if I'm wrong, Scott or Jonathan. I don't know if you want to chime in.
I can offer a little bit of clarification there. To your point, we would adjust if the allocation differed from that. 1,000 being an initial target. However, we are hopeful to expand even beyond that. Of course, it's just such a varied nature as week by week as it goes on. I will also note that the goal of 1,000 doses a week, those are first doses. The plan and the cost also includes, of course, having folks come back to receive their second dose, which the timing differs depending on what vaccine it is. And so that is contemplated in the plan because in most cases they'd have to return for their second.
Mr. Reyes?
Can whoever's providing the vaccines, can they just stop providing them? I mean, even if we have everything set up in place, can they just be like, okay, you know what, we're not going to give you any more vaccines?
Correct. So that's at the state level.
Right.
So if they don't have the supply, of course, they won't be able to make any allocations. But other than that, it seems, and now with Johnson & Johnson, that is going to allow us to receive more of an allocation.
Mr. Duran?
Well, we're going to have, because I heard that there was long lines today to vaccinate 68 people. Are we going to have this at multiple locations throughout the city?
No, sir, there was not a line in place. The reason that we have people lined up is because of the 15 minutes that they have to wait after their vaccination, but not because they were waiting to get vaccinated.
Okay, because that seems like a lot of people to run through in 1 week at one location.
Correct. And the location wouldn't be Chayo at this multitude with a, you know, with 1,000. We are looking at other venues that we can accommodate the 1,000 vaccinations. Right now it was a small operation, and that's why we selected Chayo, and it worked out perfectly, but there was no long lines. The only thing was is that they do have to wait for 15 minutes so we can monitor them. It's a requirement.
Mr. Reyes?
Do we have to provide any kind of special accommodations for the people to be waiting the 15 minutes, or do just send them to their vehicles?
Correct. We can do it in several um, we have several options to do that, but most of other vaccine clinics do send them to their car to wait. And then they let them wait, and then they check with them after 15 minutes to see how they're feeling, and then they release them.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I also want to emphasize that this is not just for our community. We do want to expand our services to San Elizario, Horizon, anyone on the east side of town, of El Paso County. The reason for that is that we have no providers on this side of town. All of them are geared to either the northeast or east side of town. So we want to make sure that we service this area, and we have transportation, mobility, language barriers, a lot of challenges that we will be helping our community get vaccinated faster as a proactive approach.
Mr. Perez?
As far as locations, and I don't know what the feasibility would be in terms of doing this, but just as a thought, maybe work with the local school districts as far as maybe helping us by letting us use a facility that they may have. Again, I don't know the logistics or the liability issues, but maybe something worth exploring.
Yes, and I know that we've had several meetings this week when Code 4 was here. We talked to El Paso County, to ESG number 2, to the school districts. Some of them are accommodating, some are just not understanding, I guess, our concept or our plan. But we are having those conversations, and we will continue to have them to make sure that we service the entire area.
Thank you.
Mr. Reyes?
I know that this seems maybe to a couple of people very little vaccines, but I want to thank everybody that made this possible. I think it's a lot of work, and but it's a start. And we really appreciate everything you did, Victor, and I know there's a lot of people behind you, and that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you as well. Thank you, everyone that was involved, all the staff, dishes as well. It was amazing for our city. I mean, 68 doses, like Mr. Reyes said, might not seem a lot, but it's definitely a start, and hopefully we can get those 1,000 vaccines allocated to us. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Code 4 as well for coming to our city. Mr. Duran?
I've been listening to, and then I've talked to some doctors about this, but everybody, even in the trials, nobody died who had received the vaccine. So, I mean, getting everybody vaccinated, you may still get the COVID, but it will not kill you. And I think that we need to vaccinate as many people as we can, as fast as we can. And hopefully we can get that amount of vaccine into Socorro and get everybody vaccinated.
And that is our mission, sir.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 17, discussion and action approving high pressure sodium HPS fixture or light emitting diode LED.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The reason I am bringing this item up is because we have a lot of new subdivisions coming in our area. And one of the questions is, do we want to continue going with HPS or do we want to transition to the LED? There is pros and cons to doing either, but I think it's important for council to understand moving forward the difference between each and see how we want to, take advantage of the new developers coming in and making sure that if we're planning on going to LEDs, this is the time to start that process. So LED versus HPS. The average life of LED is 25,000 to 100,000 hours. For the HPS, average life is about 24,000 hours. The advantages of going to an LED, it's most energy efficient, durable and shock and vibration resistant, directional nature, they emit light in a specific direction, wide variety of colors, controllable and dimmable, instant on. Disadvantages is heat sensitive, more expensive to produce than traditional sources, and more advanced technologies, so more opportunity for failure. The HPS, like I said, the average life is about 16,000 to 24,000 hours. Advantages, it's good efficiency, smaller lamp size, can be used to retrofit. Disadvantages is poor color rendering index, requires 3 to 4 minutes warm-up time. Inefficient ballast, reducing overall efficiency of the light fixture. It's a yellow light and off on cycling at the end of their life cycle. As you can see, the comparison between HPS versus LED. The LED light is more white, so it looks like it brights up a little bit more than the yellow tone. I did want to do a cost analysis. The new installs for LED run about $2,205. The maintenance fee though is only 68 cents. For the HPS, it's about 1,700 to install a new light, and we pay 583 for maintenance fee each month. The difference is $505 for installation and $5.15. One of the disadvantages is that right now El Paso Electric does not have the customer base, so they do no maintenance on these LED lights. They will install them, but if something were to happen to them, that is not something that they come out and maintenance for us. So we would have to find an outside vendor to do that. Right now, we're still doing our due diligence and seeing what the cost to that would be. If the city would want to do a LED conversion and do retrofitting, it costs about $565 a fixture. We have about 2,194 lights to replace. We would do 109 lights to do the 5% reduction a year. So it would be 5% each year, 109 lights. That would equal about $70,000 per year if this is the route that the city of Socorro would like to go. However, if we do convert and do this retrofit, in the long term, the cost effectiveness is about 80% we will be saving. I did list our references, and if you have any questions.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you. So I guess the actual, light and all that stuff, that to me is of course the cost savings. But my concern is the third party vendor or the one providing the changes on the lights. I think that we would need to find at least a proposal just to see what we're looking at, or do you already have an idea in terms of how much that would be? for that third party provider?
We have placed multiple phone calls, and we're still trying to gather that information. What I do know is what's important right now is the new subdivisions that are coming along, right? The cost wouldn't fall under the city of Socorro to install. However, to maintenance it would. But I do feel that right now is the time for us to make a decision. If we do want to go LED, we need to let our new developers, since they're asking the question, what route we want to, or what type of lighting we want to install.
Mr. Duran?
As far as the retrofitting of our old lighting, because I mean they go out periodically. We have reports of lights going out all the time. Rather than going back and replacing a good light bulb, why don't we just look at and see if we can just replace the ones that are out with the new LED? Will the electric company do that?
No, so if a light goes out, we would have to retrofit it
Okay.
to an LED light if that's the route we want to go. So
But
they will retrofit, and that's the $556 or $565 that they will charge per light. Always remember that price might vary depending on the year. As El Paso Electric said, they don't have the customer base now, but that doesn't mean that in 1 year, 2 years, they'll be there and will be offering these type of services.
One other thing is that we have been having constituents call us about poor lighting, and the amount of light that these new lights give out is just way more light. And I think we can, if we, and I do like the idea of starting LEDs. They are more efficient, and they're in the long run we're going to save money. Granted, right now it's going to cost a little more to retrofit them, but in the long run we will save money.
So the lighting is the same because it has the same lumens, because in a HPS you have an 100-watt bulb. With a LED it would be only a 32-watt that they're installing. Same amount of lumens. The only difference is that, I mean, if we put a 100-watt LED, of course it's going to light up more. But right now they are only installing 32-watt LEDs. The only difference is that one light is white, so you feel that it's lighting or it's giving more coverage than the yellow one. However, it does have the same lumens. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but
It's lumens,
it has
yes.
the same it has the same effect.
So basically, it's the same radius that we're talking about that it's lighting up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Nevares, I believe you had a question?
Yes, I like where Ralph was going with the idea of replacing as they're being reported, replacing them with these new LED lights. And that way, I think it's cost effective and we're just retro fitting as needed.
And we can do that, definitely. And do you want the new developments using LED as opposed to the HPS?
Definitely.
What is the developer? What's their part in this?
So their part is they're trying to install street lights, so they're asking what the city prefers, and that's what made this conversation happen. Is we need to let, I mean, we can't make that decision. So council, we brought it to council for you all to make the decision, but I don't think they have a preference. They're just asking what does the city prefer.
Well, then if we're gonna hit that way, then have all these new developers start with new LEDs, and then as needed throughout the city, we'll just retrofit whatever we need. My opinion.
I agree.
Mr. Reyes?
Do we by any chance as a city have like be able to retrofit, like doing it, us doing it? The only reason I'm asking is I'm an electrician, been doing it for 15 years. The lamps that are gonna get retrofitted, or the new LEDs, we're talking about 200 and 250 the most if we were to buy them from a supply house. Um, is there any chance for the city to go and for us to do it like ourselves?
So right now we don't have that type of plan. I think we were relying on El Paso Electric to do the retrofit, and then after that we were trying to find a vendor that would maintenance. So in case they would give out, then we would use a different vendor in the meantime to make sure that they do all maintenance that are required. But I mean the lifespan they say it's about 10 to 15 years before you have to replace. That's if nobody's hitting it with a BB gun or they're not being vandalized.
Mr. Nevares, you had a
Mayor?
question?
Yes, I like the idea Mr. Reyes has. Do we have capable folks that can do that job?
Not
Or is it possible to train them to do the replacements here?
Yes. So we don't have them in house, but we can definitely go out and search and see if that's something that we can train, or do we need an electrician in house, right? But we can definitely do the legwork and find out for you all, and then I can come back with a plan of action.
Thank you.
Ms. Villalobos, you had a question?
Yes, yes, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in real quick. I needed to just say that I think if we go LED, we would be using less LED because they project more light, correct? I think we learned that recently. So, I just wanted to remind everybody that we would probably be using, if we go LED, less light. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
If Mr. Reyes was volunteering his services, that'd be something else. But no, I think that we can um, have it's changing a light bulb. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Reyes, but all we would need is the equipment to get the person safely up and down, and then train somebody to do it. But this is in the future. We're talking 15 years from now, and I think between now and 15 years, we should be able to train somebody to do that. And Mr. Reyes, I don't know if you're gonna want to do it. I guess not. He's not nodding his head. So no, but all kidding aside, I think LED is the wave of the future. It's new technology, and I think over the years it's going to get even better to where it'll last more than the 100,000 hours. So I think this is the way the city needs to go.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you. I think that, and I agree with all of you as far as trying to have a cost-effective way of changing the lights. But I think also in terms of retrofitting, it might be more timely for it. We would probably respond in a more timely fashion than El Paso Electric on the retrofitting. And I think that may be something that, to the point of Adriana that has been made of training someone, and I think and all the others that have said that. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and amend my motion to opt for the LED lights for new installations in subdivisions, new subdivisions. Also to retrofit the existing lights that have gone out with LED, and then also to establish or maybe prepare a plan for training so that we can maybe do some of the retrofitting along with the El Paso Electric, again, to be able to provide a more timely turnaround on those changes.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar
There were no
Nevares,
speakers?
Yes.
No, sir, we don't have any speakers.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan.
Yes.
Would someone like to entertain the motion of moving addendum item number 5 into the regular agenda?
Entertain motion to move addendum to item 5.
Madam Mayor, we're talking about the addendum?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Second.
Discussion and action regarding.
Mayor, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 5, discussion and action regarding Rio Vista Historical Rehabilitation Project proposal.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
Good afternoon, Council. Victor Reta, Historical Preservation Officer for the City of Socorro. Here before you, the city is presenting our final approval for the contract negotiation regarding the Rio Vista Capital Historical Rehabilitation Project. It was originally started in 2019, however, due to the global pandemic, we did go ahead and put pause on this item. We are working with grant money as well as one of our top rated contractors who submitted their bid. The bid is directly tied to the further expansion of the Rio Vista rehabilitation, specifically the unoccupied buildings. The city has taken a phased approach in maximizing all possible funding as well as all grant opportunities to go ahead and further our use of the space. Thanks to the large efforts of Ms. Alejandra Valadez, we have been very successful in receiving more than 3 back-to-back grants from the Texas Historical Commission. Here before you is the next phase of projects for planning. These will be the planning, building, and building set documents that are needed in order for us to go after more lucrative grants. Recently, the city of Eagle Pass just received a $3.5 million economic development grant. That is something that was done at a historical rehabilitation project. It's something that we are in a really great opportunity to proceed. However, we really do need this first set of bid documents and bid sets to be created. We want to be very ambitious with as much government and grant funding that we can receive in order to go ahead and make our dreams a reality for the Rio Vista complex. Here before you are Vance Kelly as well as Julia Marguerite from Trenner HL, who are the proposers of the proposal attached in the backup. Did I have any questions from council before moving on?
Sounds like a great project.
In order to provide a little bit more context, just so maybe some people who are watching are clear, so what is happening is the city is requesting bid documents and bid sets to be conducted for the unoccupied buildings to include things such as our roofing, electrical walls, structural integrity, mechanical engineering, as well as safety for public use. Mr. Kelly as well as Ms. Marguerite are one of the 2 project team leads that will be on this proposal. And they have also been, their proposal has also been reviewed by not only the Texas Historical Commission, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and our local Historical Landmark Commission, all of which are approved and all of which we're really happy that we're taking a rehabilitation approach to the complex. Mr. Kelly or Julia, would you like to go ahead and maybe add something that I left out? They're also available to answer any technical questions from council. If I'm not able to, they're also able to chime in as well. And Ms. Alejandra Valadez is also on the call as well.
Victor, the only thing that I would like to add, I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of the council this evening. We're here to answer your questions. We've been working hard to be able to get a proposal that worked well for the city of Socorro. Trying to meet the deadline for the grants is extremely important, and we're ready to move forward with the project. So let us know if you have any specific questions, and Joey and I will be here to answer them for you.
Mr. Perez?
Just for clarification then, so what we're doing is we're, for lack of a better word, building a pool of information so that it'll be easier for us to go after grants. Is that correct?
Correct. So what these planning documents will do will lay out the actual plan for the intent of the property, therefore adding to the overall narrative for Ms. Alejandra Valadez to show the overall goal of the project.
So I guess it paints a more clearer picture as to what the intent of the project site will be. And so again, answering questions for those that might want to provide grant funding, correct?
Correct. It'll also give definition to the approaches that we're going to take in historical preservation. There are many options such as preservation, rehabilitation, the unopposed demolition. We do not like that option. No. We want to keep our treasures here at Rio Vista. And so we're very grateful that we have project partners, not only at the state, local, federal level, but also at the contractor level that do see the beauty of Rio Vista and are taking a rehabilitation approach. So for our bid docs, that'll outline exactly the approach we're taking, which will help Ms. Alejandra Valdez specify what we're wanting to do at the property.
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
If I can add two things that are key in grant applications is number one, the intended use of the buildings. And so there are many grant opportunities that are available to fund a satellite health clinic, a business incubator, a library. But because we don't have that intended use yet set in stone, that has been a limiting factor for us. And number two is the cost estimate. We cannot submit grant applications until we know how much a library is going to cost or a business incubator is going to cost. So these are very exciting key things that we're hoping to get out of this project.
Mr. Reyes?
I know it's probably the last question everybody wants to hear, but are we renaming it? Or are we just keeping it as Rio Vista Community Center, or?
Currently, there has been no discussion to rename the community center. If that's something that council would like to entertain, you would be in full authorization to go ahead and do so.
Okay.
That's our history, though. Mr. Perez?
And just to let you know, I have been asked several times about having a library, and so that is one of the things that I would love to see is the use of the library, and maybe a Starbucks. Yeah, you all know that that's been my running request for the past 8 years.
And if I may, so part of that also goes into Alejandra's research on what the community needs and wants. And part of that would be maybe adding a coffee shop to one of our walking tours, or also creating the economic development incentive to provide the training education for a small business owner to do a startup at Rio Vista Community Center, which we are completely and wholeheartedly for. We want to see this community be a pillar of the community to create more economic development and also strengthen our economy.
So an artisan coffee shop, then that'd be good.
Mr. Duran?
Is a museum also in that list?
Correct. Part of the intended use space is to create some kind of sculpture to acknowledge the bracero history of the site, as well as integrate walking tours and a museum preservation piece to do timeless pieces and also traveling pieces that we've been offered in the past, such as UTEP's traveling pieces as well as Smithsonian traveling pieces.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye, absolutely.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Martinez, do we have anything for items 18, 19, and 20?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Should we get a motion to delete items 18, 19, and 20?
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Villalobos is having too much fun.
I'm sorry, guys. It's my birthday and my brother's birthday, my cousin's birthday, and we're all here. I'm so sorry, but I'm listening. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
birthday.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed night, and see you next time.
Yes. Good night.
You too.
Good night. Meeting
Night.
adjourns at
Night, everybody.
7:05 p.m.
Seeing you.